Alright, so quick video today to kind of share some of my grievances, frustrations with some of the people that actually interact with The Chosen. You guys know me, I love the show, I've been really dedicated in researching and following the show for a long time, and so when I see people that kind of interact with the show and they don't really care or they don't really bring their all to it, it's kind of frustrating because I feel like, you know, if I were in that position or if I were asking questions in that way, I feel like there'd be so much more value in what's being brought, and not only that, but respect for what The Chosen is doing overall. So to be clear, I love a lot of these different interviews. I love a lot of these different things that are being done by interviewers or different news programs and different things like that. But this frustration, I just can't let it go. So hopefully I'm not the only one that feels this way, but I did want to share it. It's my channel after all. So as we talk about this, I was watching The Chosen phenomenon earlier just to kind of catch up and to see what was going on with that. And there were some really great moments within that. It's a very televised, very kind of news-based programming, which I'm not super into, but there were some interesting moments and some good parts of it, which we'll probably break down at some point on this channel. But it just brought me back to this place of like, why would you bring someone or why would you hire someone to do a job where they don't really know or care about the product that you're making in the first place? There are so many people within this community that would do an amazing job of interviewing the actors or talking about these different scenes and different things like that, like we're gonna see at ChosenCon. There's so many different fans that are coming in and doing different things for The Chosen to interview or to talk to these actors and crew members and people behind the scenes, and that's going to be awesome. But there's some moments in the past where I've just felt like, man, some people have just dropped the ball on this and not really cared about The Chosen as a product itself. So let's look at some examples, some from The Chosen phenomenon, and then one that I think is just hilarious. Let's jump into this. Here we go.
Did it bring you out of your depression? Did the part just playing this? Because, you know, Mary, we can say it, famously was demon-possessed and a prostitute.
So I thought this one was funny because, yes, Mary was demon-possessed, but famously, she is not a prostitute, right? Maybe people have that misconception of her, but there is nowhere in scripture that talks about this. Not only that, but Dallas made it very clear from the beginning of the show that that is not how he's portraying Mary Magdalene. And so it's just one of those moments where, of course, someone's going to ask a question like this on their own broadcast, on their own sort of interview with these actors, and the actors aren't going to contradict them. They're not going to like clap back at them. However, like she's just objectively wrong about this when it comes to The Chosen, and she's objectively wrong about it when it comes to biblical truth as well. So these kind of things, they just irk me. They irritate me. So let's keep on watching.
Because I've watched the first season, it's in entirety, and it was very easy to watch.
So this is another thing that I see very often with a lot of these interviewers is that they haven't even watched the show. This interviewer is doing an interview for the actors into season 4 of the show. Like this is like way past season 1, right? And I'm sure like the last few days she's been like binging season 1 to catch up to it, right? She's obviously, this shows that she's not a fan of the show. She's not someone that follows along with it. She's not someone that's super excited about season 4 coming up. She's just doing this as a job, which is fine. Like that's fine. You're doing your job. You're doing a great job at that. Like it's great. However, I do think that there's some value that's missed there if the person doesn't understand the actors and the show that they're actually interviewing about. And so these questions become mundane. They become something that's not valuable to the chosen audience itself. And trust me, I do get it, right? We have one more clip to look at, but I do get it. Like I understand, I do understand that it is valuable for an outside interviewer that knows nothing about the show or has an audience that knows nothing about the show to come in and do these sort of things. But I don't know. It's irritating to me when someone just doesn't know what they're talking about. They don't understand what it is that is so important to the fans of the show, if that makes sense. So there's one more that I thought was hilarious. Again, this comes from the season 3 premiere last year. This is the host that actually ran the event for the most part, and he asked Jonathan Roumie this question here. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, it would really help us out a ton if you would subscribe, and also check out more of our videos on this channel. Since it's a brand new channel, we really need your help to get the watch hours up. Thank you so much.
I've been doing this a long, long time. I don't think I've ever interviewed anybody who plays Jesus in a show and a movie.
Not quite Jesus, but it's a guy that loved Jesus. It's a hippie preacher.
So this one is hilarious to me. So this guy is interviewing Jonathan Roumie, and he says, I've never interviewed someone who's played Jesus in a show and a movie. And because he goes into this interview, this massive season 3 premiere interview, and he thinks that Jonathan Roumie is playing Jesus in Jesus Revolution. And so Jonathan, in the nicest way possible, is trying to correct him and say, no, it's not Jesus, not quite Jesus. And in actuality, it's nowhere close to Jesus, right? It's just a regular guy that was a preacher. But this guy, was given a packet of information about all of these actors and stuff, and he's learning it on the way, I'm sure, to figure out who is in this group. But you can tell just by the way that he's interacting that he doesn't have a full understanding of what actually is going on, right? And so again, it becomes this frustrating thing for me of like, man, couldn't we have got someone that's actually like excited about the show? Couldn't we have got someone in that position that's actually like wanting to be a part of the community and be a part of what The Chosen is doing? So anyway, all of that to say, this is just a gripe of mine. Don't take it too to heart. It's not something that I'm like seething about all the time, but The Chosen phenomenon reminded me so much of how much this irritates me within the Chosen culture right now, where there's just these random people, because they're media outlets, because they're news sources. The same thing happened to me at the season 3 premiere. Now I had to push my way into the press crew in order for me to be able to do some interviews and do a live stream during the season 3 premiere. It took a lot of effort for me to get there. I had to keep on emailing and talking to people and reaching out and doing more and more and more. But then I get there and literally I'm talking to everybody on the press line and nobody knows what this show is, basically. None of them have watched it. Most of them have no idea why they're here. They're just here because it's their job and they're here to interview people, and they don't know what's going on. And so whenever I got a chance to talk to the actors, it was an amazing moment for me because I got to actually give value to the people who are watching the show and who are wanting to be a part of it. But because there's so many other people who don't know who they are, don't know what's going on, it took way too much time. So I had barely any time to even talk to the cast and crew and everybody. And so anyway, it's just a gripe of mine. Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear your thoughts as we kind of go through this. And of course, we'll be at Chosen Con, so we'll hopefully be able to ask some really cool questions, get to meet some of the cast and crew, and be able to give some of that value that I'm talking about here. Anyway, I hope I don't sound like an old man yelling from my front porch, but it's just my thoughts, just something that I get a little bit irritated about.